Welcome to my show of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, where we hear from regular people who got tired of living their ordinary lives and were not afraid to make that jump.
You gotta be different. You can't be doing what everyone else is doing. You gotta create action. You gotta create momentum. So I'm looking for demand and I'm looking for mentorship because I wanted to know everything my mentor knew.
People who are just like you and me. Sydney, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good, great, man. Great to have you on the show. David Price here. I got Sydney all the way from, are you in Minneapolis? I know you're in Minnesota, but are you in Minneapolis?
Yeah, St. Paul.
St. Paul. That's the same thing, basically, right? For the rest of the world?
Basically, it's like 10 minutes away.
10 minutes? Okay. So, yeah, so typically, probably like everyone else in Minnesota thinks St. Paul's is Minneapolis, like New Orleans, right? Like Kenner's New Orleans, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's like whenever someone who isn't from Minnesota thinks about Minnesota, they're going to think of Minneapolis. But yeah, I'm like 10 minutes away.
Yeah. Like Kenner, people in Kenner will be like, yeah, we're in New Orleans. But people in New Orleans are like, no, you're in Kenner. Like,
exactly.
It's different. Get out of here. So awesome. Cool. So my name is David Price. We have another episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things virtual. I'm really excited. If you like what you see, please give a subscribe, thumbs up, hit the little bell, get some notifications. If you have any comments, throw some comments in there. We got Sydney. Sydney's a new insurance agent. She just got licensed, reached out to me on social media. She told me she was going to work with another company. So I was really confused about that, but we got that straight. Came working with us and just blown away. How long ago have you got your license? How long ago? It was like weeks, right?
Yeah. So no, I think I got my license on like the 1st of February, but I started working with you, I think like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And just a ton of success. And you know, full-time job starting out and already got rid of the job and on your own. How does it feel to working for yourself now?
It feels amazing. Like I still don't know what to do, you know? I'm used to going in at 8:30, getting off at 5, but I felt like most of my time was being wasted because I obviously wasn't making much over there. So whenever I started working over here, realizing like, okay, you know, I make way more money doing this.
All right. So you're originally from Louisiana?
Yeah, I'm from Louisiana. I moved here about 2.5 years ago.
And then is it Jennings? Is that where you're from? Jennings, Louisiana?
I tell people Jennings because it's like the biggest, closest city to where
Which
I'm
isn't
from.
very big.
So I went to school in a place called Welsh. I graduated with like 60 people. It's about 10 minutes from Jennings. So I just say Jennings.
I'm familiar with Welsh. I repoed cars in Louisiana, so I actually know all the small little towns.
So you know about Welsh. That's very rare.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Welsh.
Okay.
Yeah, so my area was basically like New Orleans all the way to like Morgan City area and then maybe New Iberia around there. And then someone else's area was Lafayette. And then I came back on the other side of Lafayette. So it was like all the way to Texas, all the way down to, I'm trying to think what would be like Eunice area maybe, or Rain, like somewhere over there is where I took back over. And then someone else had Lafayette all the way up to Alexandria.
Yeah, so you were like in Cajun country.
everywhere. I took everyone's car. So way nicer working there than Baton Rouge or New Orleans for sure.
Yeah.
People give their cars up a lot easier. So they don't like giving their cars up in New Orleans. They fight for them. But awesome. So let's hear a little bit about you. So you grew up in Louisiana. What was your first job? What was the first thing you did? You know, you're a superstar insurance agent, right? And I keep telling you that, and you probably don't believe it. And I spent a lot of time, energy, money, you know, looking for somebody that's willing to be as committed as you. So let's see if we could dissect and see why you're so amazing. Like, was it a job before? Was it a parent? Was it some life experiences? So what was your first job?
So my first job actually started working in restaurants. Like I was a server up until probably like 2 years ago. Those were my main jobs. So like I knew how to talk to people, you know, but I didn't know what to do career-wise. I tried going to college. I knew that wasn't really for me. So whenever I heard about the whole insurance thing, I had been seeing you post on social media for a long time. And I'm like, God, when am I actually going to reach out to him? And I think I reached out to you about 2 years ago, but then like never went through with it. So before this, I was at a job working at in a doctor's office. Didn't like it at all. Miserable. Wasn't making anything. And so I finally, I was like, maybe I should get this insurance license and see what it's all about. So I actually got licensed and then finally reached out to you. And I think it was because I was so miserable at every other job that I was at. And I realized that doing this, I could actually make a career out of it.
That's good. Well, one, I always say servers are ideal person to hire because server doesn't ever really know when they're getting off, right? Like, it's like, what time you getting off? Like when it slows down, right? When it slows down, and then they're gonna make me clean up, right? And servers also, it's performance related, right? So the more tables you wait, the nicer you are. Typically, the more money you make, right? So it's not trading time for money. So I always think that servers are ideal for sales and insurance. So I'm not surprised to hear that you're a server. I think that's the first time I've heard that you were a server. So now it's all making sense, right? So again, I got to spend more time at restaurants eating and hiring servers. So you worked as a server, and then 2 years ago you ended up in Minnesota. How'd that happen? Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I actually got sober up here. I was a drug addict and couldn't get sober. I tried to get sober for years since I was about 18. I was a heroin addict and I was in and out of treatment, couldn't figure my life out. And treatment centers kept recommending me go to Minnesota. And I'm like, what is in Minnesota? Like, why do y'all want me to go there so badly? So finally, after my last time in treatment in 2021, I realized, okay, there's not much left in Louisiana for me. The treatment center once again recommended me go to Minnesota, and it's because it is the recovery capital of the United States. So I actually listened to them this time. I came up here, and probably the best decision that I've ever made, aside from working for this company. But yeah, I ended up getting sober up here. So that's what brought me here.
That's crazy. I never heard that Minnesota was the recovery capital. I thought I know Florida, over like in the Fort Lauderdale area, they got a lot of recovery there. I was thinking that was the spot, but never heard that about Minnesota. But
yeah, I didn't know that either until treatment centers kept telling me to come up here. And then once I moved here, I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. There's treatment centers everywhere. Everyone that I talked to, I mean, I was getting my hair done a couple months ago and I find out that she's in recovery too. It's like, I find it everywhere. So yeah.
That's cool. So did you went to a 12-step program as well, paired with treatment?
Yeah. So the last treatment center that I was in, it was basically like this 12-step boot camp. There wasn't any like therapists or anything like that. It was literally like a 12-step boot camp. We just did AA stuff all day. It worked.
Yeah. So I went to a 12-step program myself, and I think you know that. And I look at a lot of the success that I have is based off a lot of the principles that I learned in the 12-step program. And I still use them today. So when I really don't know what to do or how to make a decision or how to deal with an agent or an employee, I just really start looking back at like the principles, right? They say the spiritual principles. And I look back and think about how do I handle this in a spiritual way? How do I let God in on this situation? Stuff like that. And, not let my ego control it or how to control a situation. And I feel like that's had me a lot of success. And I know we have a lot of agents that are also very successful, and a lot of them are from recovery and are recovering drug addicts and recovering alcoholics, or however they choose to label themselves. But do you feel like that's helping you with this business at all?
Absolutely. So it's funny how much the two intertwine, because going from working an hourly job, even though I wasn't making much money, I knew that money was promised. And so I had a lot of fear around transitioning from that job to doing this. And I don't want to like make this about God, because I know everyone has different beliefs, but I had to bring God into it, a lot of trust, a lot of faith, a lot of praying, and just like trusting that everything was going to work out, So I think that aspect of it helped me a lot. Also, a lot of like, I kind of had to use that same motivation, dedication that it took to get sober to do this. Cause I'm like, okay, if I was able to get sober, I can do anything, So it's like, I put all of that energy, the same energy that I put into getting sober, into this. And so far it has exceeded all of my expectations.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like I said, you're just getting started, and, I've hired hundreds, actually thousands of insurance agents, and I get to see the characteristics of somebody that's going to be successful, someone that's going to be ultra successful, and people that are going to fail. Right. And really it's just the habits. What was really unique about you is you're like, hey, Dave, I'm going to start working part-time. I got a full-time job. And I've heard that story so many times, and I just, agreed with you. Okay, sure, no problem. Because most people aren't going to work a full-time job and then go home and work again, right? They just rather
Mhm.
go home and watch some TV or do some other things. But to see you, like, literally, one, you're working at your work at your job, and then you would, like, literally, like, jump off Zoom and go home and jump right back on Zoom and make calls again. And just to see that's, super amazing. And how natural you are on the phones. Do you feel like you're a people person? Because you definitely are.
Yeah, I knew that I could talk to a tree if I had to, you know? Like, I knew I was a people person. I had never been in sales before. So I'd been told by quite a few people who were in sales, like, you should really do sales. You can talk to people. But I'm like, what do I even sell? You know? I didn't understand the concept of it. So it's definitely helped me, I think.
Yeah, no, like I said, you're definitely no, because I remember hearing like your first call or whatever, and you're just like really stiff and robotic, and then I, say, hey, listen, you got to show me your personality, and you're like, oh, I got this, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was like best advice I could give you. I was like, man, I'm wondering how many people I should have gave that advice to that maybe it would have helped the way it helped with you. So okay, cool. So you just got started with us. I mean, I think about 2 weeks, right? About 2 weeks you've been working with us now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, what you see. Like, do you see your future at all? Do you understand, like, over the next 12 months how much different things are going to get and how fast, by any chance? Do you realize that? Because I do, because I've seen it before, but I wonder what you see.
I know you do. I know that my life is going to be drastically different. For the first time working here, I actually trust it. Like, a lot of things in my life have not felt right. And for the first time doing this, it feels right. So I know that it's going to work out. And I've seen it work out for people who are just like me. I've seen it work out for you and then some of the other agents that I know from back from Louisiana. And I'm like, okay, if it worked for them, it can work for me. So I don't necessarily have any doubts about it. And I know that it'll work out. I don't know. I don't know exactly what to expect. I just know my life's going to be different.
Let's fast forward 12 months from now, right? So it's March 14, 2025, and you consistently make $2,000 goes in your bank account every single week. Okay. So just imagine that that's happening. So, right, let's fast forward 12 months. You're still there, right? Because you're there in grind mode. You're in Minnesota. Obviously, at this point, you now realize you can live anywhere in the world because you're doing everything 100% from the phone. And so as long as you have an internet and phone, you're good. And now you're at a point where you consistently, there's no doubt in your mind that you'll average $2,000 a month in your bank account. What do you do now?
What do
What's
you
the
mean?
first
What
thing?
do I do now?
Do you move? Do you buy a car? Do
Oh,
you
like where
buy
do
a
I?
vacation home? Do
Oh,
like
I'm moving. Yeah.
what change, like, what changes in your life once you realize, like, that's like a real thing? Like, okay, cool, I'm making 2 grand a week now. I have no bills at all, and I can live wherever I want. Like, where are we going? What's the decisions you're gonna make?
So, I like Minnesota. I don't like the cold. So I'm going straight to the South. I want to go, I will move to Florida probably. I want the beach. Oh, that's such a hard question because it's like, it's hard to even imagine right now because I have been stuck in this position for so long. But I know that I won't stay here, you know?
So you're not going
I
back to
want to go.
Welsh?
We ain't going to Welsh. No.
You're going to Welsh?
No, we're going to the beach.
Do you have a favorite spot in Florida? Where Florida's a huge place. Where are you going in Florida?
I don't know yet. I want the prettiest beach in Florida.
The prettiest beach? Google prettiest
The
beach in
prettiest beach. I
Florida.
don't care about anything else. When I tell you I want the beach, that's what I mean. I want the beach, and we're going to Florida. I don't know what part yet.
All right. What about car? You have, you like cars? You're into cars? You're gonna buy a car? You good with the car you have? You're gonna move to
I like
Miami? You don't even
cars.
need a car.
I mean, no, we're getting a car. We're
What kind of car
definitely
are you
gonna
getting?
keep a car. I'm not getting rid of it. But if I got a new one, it'd be a Lexus. I love
Lexus?
Lexuses.
What
Yeah,
color?
those are my favorite. Black,
Black. Black leather?
black on black,
Black on
black on
black.
black.
That's
Yeah.
it. All right. Okay. What about vacation? Where are you gonna take your first vacation to?
Oh gosh. I have always wanted to go to Italy. Don't ask me what part because I'm not good with geography. I've always wanted to go to Italy. Maybe Colombia. That sounds nice.
Colombia? Okay. I just went
Yeah.
to Colombia recently. I had a really good
How
time.
was it?
It was great. It was great. I went for 2 weeks, stayed in Medellin, just great. Everything was cheap, good food, a lot of really good restaurants. Was able to basically walk everywhere, which was nice. The weather was perfect. So yeah, it was definitely very
Okay.
enjoyable. didn't get robbed or stolen, kidnapped or anything like that. So I was pretty happy.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't think that's really a thing there anymore, but awesome. All right, cool. So you're selling insurance on the phone. What's your day-to-day look like?
Even though, I'll be working from home still. Like I still like getting up at a certain time. I like getting up early. So I'm still trying to figure out this whole working from home routine. So my day-to-day life, I do want to get up way earlier, like around 5, go to the gym, come home, take a shower, start making phone calls, start working. It's cool to have that freedom, like, oh, I need to go get something done. Like I have an errand to run. It's cool that I can like step away, go do that, come back and just keep making money. I don't, even whenever I am making more money, I don't plan on not working the way that I am right now.
I mean, yeah, that's a good thing. A lot of times people, they start making money and then they stop doing the things that they were doing to be successful. Are you waking up at 5 in the morning now?
No, I'm waking up at 6 right now. So I wanna start getting up earlier so I can go to
Get
the
more
gym.
committed. Were you waking up at 5 when you worked at the other job?
Yeah, I was waking up at like 5, going to the gym before work, and then going straight to work.
Yeah,
So
I
I
would
want to
just
get back
duplicate.
into that
Yeah,
routine.
I would just duplicate that. But you're working later now too, right?
Yeah, I'll stop around like 6, and if I get a call after that, I'm running to my laptop to try to make that sale. But yeah, I try to be working at least from like 8 until 5 or 6.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, the first year I always tell people is the most important, and try to put as much time and effort as you can the first year, and you're putting a lot of time and effort. I think once you're making some good money now, but I think as that increases, it's going to make you want to work even more because you're not going to know what to do. Like, what else you're going to do? Like sit on the couch and you know what I mean? You're already home. So it's like if I'm home, I might as well make money that's opposed to watch TV or do something that isn't money related. Well, you're actually
Yeah. Well,
running a go ahead.
no, well, I say 5 or 6. Last night I was on my laptop, like, trying to make a sale, and that was at, like, 8:30 or 9.
Awesome. So what's
Okay.
the weather like in Minnesota right now?
Okay, so
Is
right
it
now,
cold? Are you outside
a
right now?
hot year. No, I'm in my little
Oh,
sunroom right
okay.
now. It's usually freezing at this time. This was a hot year for us. Like, last year, it was in the negatives almost every day. It was insane. This year, it got in the negatives just, like, a couple days, and then we were fine. But right now, I wanna say it's, like, 60 or something like that.
Oh
So,
wow.
definitely
That's
cold for
good.
Louisiana,
Do you have like a
deep
5-year
freezing.
plan, a 10-year plan, or anything like that? Any thoughts to that?
I
Or
think
it's
those
just
are
like
some
one
things
day at
we're
a
gonna
time
have.
still? What's that?
Yeah, I think those are some things I'm gonna have to talk about with you. I need help with those.
We'll work on
Right
it. Like I
now, we're
said, we're just
taking it
getting
one day
started
at a time.
one day at a
Yeah,
time.
right now we're taking it one day at a time. I know like where I want to go in life roughly, but I don't know how to do the math on how to get there in a certain period of time. I think I'll need your help.
Gotcha. I got you. Before you're doing insurance, what was like, obviously you never, I don't think anyone like grows up thinking I want to be an insurance agent. So like before insurance was in your radar and we started working together, like what was like your dream life or dream job or something? Like what did you feel like you wanted to do?
See, that's the issue. I think that's the place where I was at before I contacted you. I had no idea. I knew that I wanted to be financially stable. Like I knew I wanted to make money, but I was like, I don't know how to do that because I don't want to go back to college. I will if I have to. So one of the reasons that I started working in the doctor's office was because I was like, maybe I want to go for nursing. And just the thought of that sounds miserable, but I was like, I don't know, nurses do decent. Like maybe I can go for that. I get way too grossed out by like body fluids and all of that stuff to ever work in a doctor's office ever again. I knew very quickly that wasn't for me.
That's funny. Yeah, yeah, nurses they work. I mean, like I said, it's a good profession, obviously, and they make really good money. And I think it's pretty hard to become a nurse and everything they have to go through. But
Yeah.
I was the same way. I wanted to be successful. I really didn't know how. I didn't know what I want to do. I went to school for like 2 years. I just didn't know, and I tried a lot of different things. I worked so many jobs and tried, and I feel like every job was really just a stepping stone to the next job. And I think all that stuff helped me when I did get my insurance license and get a chance to build an insurance agency. And it helps me relate with a lot of people, right? I worked as a plumber. I worked offshore. I worked as a repo person. I sold cars. I worked as an electrician. I worked as a roofer. I worked as a carpenter. I worked in a mom and pop pizza place as a delivery guy who also served tables, washed dishes, and everything else. There's a lot of things that I've done, but ultimately, I think going through all those things and realizing a lot about it, right? So going from where you paid hourly to paid by performance and seeing the difference. Like, oh, wait a second here. When I get paid by performance, because I was always a hard worker, and I believe you must have always been a hard worker as well, just based off seeing your work ethic now. Then you're like, all right, cool. Well, I can never get paid hourly again. At one point, I thought $40 an hour was great. Like, you made it in life. And now I'm like, dude, there's no way in the world I would work for $40 an hour. Not saying there's anything wrong with it, but if you're able to make a lot more in that time and be able to control your output and your income, it's a much better position to be in.
Right. So it's funny you bring that up, because that was kind of one of the things I was most worried about, because I brought up earlier how I've always worked hourly, and so I knew no matter what I was going to make this amount of money. But then now that I started working here and I see the money that I've made so far, I'm like, I don't want to know how much I'm going to make anymore. Like, I don't like with this, there's no cap on what I can make. Like, the harder that I work, the more money that I make. I don't want to, there's nothing wrong with it, like you said, but I'm just really happy that I found something that's performance-based, because this is great so far.
Yeah. And people think it's the opposite. It's like, there's security. And the truth of the matter is, when you're performance-based, you're not getting laid off, right? Because you create your income. So, if you look at like when COVID happened and they had to lay everyone off, they weren't laying off salespeople, right? The salespeople that could perform and sell were selling. It's the people that got the guaranteed hourly income that they had to let go. So I remember my first commission only job was repoing cars. It was literally like, if I don't snatch someone's car, I'm not getting paid. And then I was a little nervous, right? I was like, well, do you ever like go a whole day and not find a car? Like, yeah, it's gonna happen. Do you ever go a whole week and not find a car? But like, it can happen, but it's going to be tough, But they said, if you continue to work and try to find cars all day, every day, and make money, and at that time, that's more money than I've ever made in my life, being fully commissioned. And I was like, wow, this is great. I love this. And I didn't have to ask anyone to take the day off either, right? I remember one day was like Saturday, and I was like, let me work a little bit on Saturday, and I made like $1,000 by noon. And I was like, cool. I'm gonna take the rest of Saturday off. Like $1,000 by noon, that's good. Let me enjoy the rest of this day, right? And you can really control when you work and how you work. And you're gonna see, like, that's gonna be, you're already seeing some of it, but the cool part is you still don't even know what you're doing, right? So it's like you're doing amazing. But you're still like a baby, just starting to like learn to walk a little bit. So I'm excited to watch that with you. So I'm really glad you jumped on. I know brand new, just got licensed, but I wanted to really highlight you because, like I said, it's definitely rare to see somebody so coachable and someone's work ethic and the positive attitude that you have already. So just really excited for your future and stuff. Do you have any advice to anyone else that been watching me on social media for 2, 3, 4 years? Any advice for them?
If you've been watching him for 2 or 3 or 4 years, message him, okay? I watched him for too long without reaching out and asking about a job. So, I wish I would have started this sooner, but at the same time, I know that everything happens for a reason. Whenever it does, I wouldn't have done well 2, 3, 4 years ago whenever I first started watching David. So I'm glad it happened when it did. But if you're in a good place in life, message him, reach out. This is the best thing ever.
That's funny. And then I could, one little thing to really, maybe I could piss you off a little bit before we go, but you've been making about $800 a day. I'm thinking about how many days are in 2 years and how much money you missed out on watching. So
yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about that?
Okay. I don't want to talk about it.
I just want to make sure I put a little fire underneath you so we play catch up. But awesome. Thanks again, Sydney. It's really been a pleasure. Super excited. It's been another episode of Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. Again, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the little bell so you get a notification. If you have any questions or comments for Sydney, put them in the comments section and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you.